I'm 53 now. My name is Linda Marks. For most of my life, I believed I had things under control. I got married young, stayed home to raise my son, kept the house in order, and convinced myself that real love, messy, consuming love, was something I'd already experienced. What came after was just the upkeep. I was practical, careful, maybe even a little too proud of how smoothly I ran things. I believed in structure, in roles, in doing what was expected. But lately, I've been questioning all of it. And what happened that afternoon in the laundry room? It shifted something inside me, something I never imagined could change. I never thought this kind of moment would happen to me. Please don't repeat the mistake I made. It started on a quiet Tuesday. One of those overcast, breathless days where the whole world feels like it's holding still. I was in the laundry room, my little pocket of peace. I had one of my favorite candles burning, warm vanilla and cedarwood, and soft jazz playing low from the kitchen radio. Folding laundry is one of those repetitive chores that lets your thoughts drift, and mine often do. I just finished folding one of Dylan's shirts. He's 27 now. He was home for the week while his apartment complex dealt with a plumbing issue. He's taller than I remember from when he left for college, more solid in the shoulders. His voice has that grounded, deeper tone now. But to me, he's still my boy. My little whirlwind of bruised shins and crayon drawings. I was humming along with the music when I heard the faint creak of the floor behind me. I turned slightly, expecting him to pass by or ask about dinner, but he didn't say anything right away. He just stood there in the doorway watching me. It wasn't a stare, just a focused, quiet gaze, like he was working up the courage to say something but couldn't quite form the words. "Hey," I said with a soft smile, holding up one of his socks. "Still losing these, huh?" He chuckled and stepped into the room. "I think the dryer's got a hidden sock dimension." I laughed. "Well, after folding your clothes since you wore footy pajamas, I think I'd have found it by now." He leaned back against the counter, arms crossed, just watching. The silence wasn't awkward, but it wasn't casual either. It had weight. The kind that settles slowly on your chest. "You always smell like clean laundry and cinnamon," he said, almost out of nowhere. Paused mid-fold. "That's a strange thing to say." "It's not," he answered, his tone softer now. "It's just true." I didn't meet his eyes. I focused on folding a towel instead, smoothing it carefully before placing it in the basket. My thoughts were suddenly racing in directions I didn't expect. Something about the way he said it felt intimate, closer than I was prepared for. Or maybe I just hadn't noticed how closely he'd been paying attention all these years. "I missed this," he said after a moment. "Being home. Hearing your voice from the next room. The way this house smells. You." That last word came out low. Almost like he hadn't meant to say it aloud. My stomach fluttered, nerves, guilt. I couldn't tell. But I turned fully to face him, trying to anchor the moment in something familiar. "You know you're always welcome here, Dylan," I said softly. He nodded but didn't look away. "I know. I see things differently now." The dryer buzzed, loud and sharp, breaking the moment. I turned quickly, thankful for the distraction. I opened the door, letting the warm air wash over me. But I felt him step a little closer. Not touching, just near. "Mom," he said quietly. Froze. His tone was careful, like the words were fragile. "Can I tell you something without you freaking out?" My heart picked up. "That depends. Are you about to tell me you joined a cult or you're moving to the Arctic?" He smiled. "Neither." I turned partway toward him again. That's when I noticed it. He looked older in his eyes. Not worn down, but like he carried stories I hadn't heard. Thoughts he hadn't shared. "What is it?" he asked. He hesitated. "I just think you're incredible. I don't say it enough. You kept everything going, even when it got tough." I felt the breath catch in my chest. It wasn't the words. It was how he said them. Like they'd been waiting inside him for years. Wrapped in quiet admiration. And something else I wasn't ready to name. I reached up, touched his cheek like I did when he was little. "You're a good man, Dylan." He closed his eyes for a second, leaning into my touch. "I don't always know what I am," he whispered. "But I know this. Being here with you feels more right than anything's felt in a while." The moment stretched between us, charged with something tender and dangerous. I didn't know where it was going. I only knew I wasn't folding shirts anymore. I was unraveling something far more delicate. The next morning, I tried to move through the routine like nothing had changed. The sky was clear, birds chattering near the kitchen window, and the coffee machine hissed like always. But the air felt different. Or maybe I did. Dylan had gone for a jog. His usual thinking ritual. And I was grateful for the space. Not because I regretted the moment, but because I needed to sit with it. Make sense of this new, strange awareness I hadn't asked for. I sat at the table in my robe, staring into my coffee like it might answer something. His words from yesterday played in my mind over and over. "Being here with you feels more right than anything." By noon he returned, sweaty and flushed. I was chopping vegetables for lunch. "You ran long," I said. "Had a lot to work through," he replied, grabbing a towel. I stayed focused on the cutting board. Did it help? Was not sure. Numb, maybe. He filled a glass of water, his movements slower than usual. Then, "Can I ask you something, Mom? And I mean really ask, not to be weird." Put the knife down. "Okay. Do you ever feel like the life you built, the one you thought was yours, didn't actually turn out to be?" That surprised me. "Yes," I said quietly. "More than I'd like to admit." He pulled out a chair and sat across from me. There was no tension, just honesty. "I used to think you were the strongest person I knew," he said. "You held this place together, raised me, stayed steady. But I remember after Dad left, how quiet you got. Like something disappeared in you. And I couldn't fix it." I looked at my hands. They'd aged, veins showing more, skin thinner. But they were still capable. "I kept going because I had to," I said. "You were watching. I didn't have the space to fall apart." "I saw it though," he said. "I just didn't know what to do." Silence filled the space. Not heavy, just real. "I thought if I succeeded, if I made you proud, maybe you'd smile again. But when I left, I hoped distance would make it easier. It didn't." Tears pricked my eyes. I hadn't expected this. "You were never the reason I hurt," I whispered. "Life just wears you down." He reached over, placed his hand over mine. It was simple, warm, steady. We sat like that a while. Nothing spoken. Just truth sitting between us. Eventually I stood and moved to the sink.